Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so Taylor Jenkins was fired this morning after losing to the Thunder. They just dropped 140 on the Jazz before that. Trust me, I know, because I literally watched highlights of their basketball games last night in preparation for the game the Lakers play against them tomorrow. Now, I don't know what's with ownerships seeing the Lakers on the schedule and saying we can't let our coach this game, but this is the second time that's happened this season. The Sacramento Kings also did that earlier in the year when they fired Mike Brown right before the Laker game. So I don't know if that's really a thing, but it is definitely a thing this year. And so Taylor Jenkins fired. I'd imagine something happened, man. If you want to know what my opinion is, you don't fire a coach that you've had in your situation for 6 years. You've only missed the playoffs like twice. If you did, one of those years was definitely an injury year. The team has been pretty good with him there. Of course, they haven't won a championship, but they're always in the mix. He managed the Ja Morant situation off the court stuff pretty well. The suspension job was gone for half a season. He coached the team to a playoff berth. I don't think performance is what caused him to lose his job. I think somebody got into it with him and fired him on the spot. That's what I think actually happened. Or something like that. He got into it with somebody and they're ready to get rid of him. Because at the end of the day, this is a team that's in 5th place right now, tied for 4th place with the Los Angeles Lakers, with a big game tomorrow to figure out who's going to have that tiebreaker. And furthermore, a situation where the playoffs literally start less than a month from right now. They don't have time to implement a new coach, so they'd likely use an interim, and they're asking that interim to coach them through the playoffs. That's a no-no. You don't even have to do that. You got a whole offseason to fire a coach and find somebody else. You don't have to do that a month before the end of the season. This was a demonstration of some sort. This was a fed-up moment of some sort, and it seems like an emotional decision probably stemming from something going wrong personally with people who have some power versus him. That's what this feels like to me, because this is the strangest time and the most unnecessary time to fire a coach. You just let him play the season out. The Lakers could have very well done the same thing with Darvin Ham and Frank Vogel, but we let them finish the season because it makes more sense for a playoff team to have their head coach, who's been in place for 6 years, on the sidelines when the playoff starts, whether you believe in the coach or not, whether you think he's a good guy or not. So to me, this has to do with something going wrong that had nothing to do with performance. Maybe there's something that Taylor did over the last couple of days that might have got him in some trouble or something. Somewhere in that ballpark is what I think possibly happened that caused Taylor Jenkins to be fired at this awkward time in the season, with less than 15 games left for a playoff team in 5th place in the Western Conference, vying for positioning. I don't see why this was done other than something unavoidable coming in, making it impossible for them to keep him around. That's what I think. Because if you want to tell me it's about performance, his performance has been good enough to keep his team in the playoff contention more than not, through ridiculous circumstances. And don't give me nothing about how he's not making these guys better, because at the end of the day, the trades that they made in the midseason didn't make them better. They gave away some pretty good players to Sacramento and to the Washington Wizards, respectively, that I think would have really helped them be a much better roster than they are right now. Ja Morant's been in and out of the lineup for basically 2 or 3 years. That ain't his fault. They paid Desmond Bane far more than what he should have been paid, eating up way too much of the cap. That is crap. That had nothing to do with Taylor Jenkins. He's coaching what he was told to coach. They got players like Luke Kennard at regular rotation. You know what I mean? Santi Aldama's pretty solid. Jalen Wells, their starting small forward. Like, they have roster issues. And they didn't have those roster issues very recently. I know Brandon, his first name's Brandon, last name's just lost in my head. Brandon Clark, rather, just went down with another season-ending injury, if I'm not mistaken. He's forever injured. You allow him to be one of the players you retain, but you let LaRavia and Smart go. I mean, these are the type of things that you just don't do if you want to stay as strong as Memphis has ultimately been. Now they're relying upon players that they rather not rely upon, and they're not that great of a roster. And you lose to the number 1 team in the Western Conference, the Oklahoma City Thunder, on the road, and suddenly it's time to fire your coach. Everybody loses to the Thunder on the road. If that's the case, we all need to fire our coaches. So I don't know what is going on there, to be honest with you. But Memphis seems to be a team that's on the verge of imploding. That's what it looked like to me. I don't think they're on an upward trajectory at all, ladies and gentlemen. I think they're heading the other direction. And if they get ousted by the Lakers again, which looks like it could very well happen, I wouldn't be surprised if Ja Morant ain't on this team next year. I wouldn't be surprised if Triple J doesn't get his money this year, because you know he's up to make a huge amount as well. All the more reason why firing the coach is very strange. So I don't really believe in the Memphis Grizzlies direction right now. I think they're in disarray. I think they were a very strong team to start the season, but the roster that they've been running with is a bunch of players that were rejects from the Lakers, to be honest with you, although we believe in these guys. I love Jay Huff and Scottie Pippen, but they're rejects from the Lakers one way or another. You got rookies, like I said, starting. You got some of the better role players now in other situations for no damn reason whatsoever. It's a bad roster right now. After you look at Ja and Triple J, and I guess if you want to say Desmond Bain. But to me, that was when they screwed up. When you paid Desmond Bain all that money and didn't diversify that into more fuller talent, multiple bodies that can help you in multiple ways, and you gave all that money to a three-point shooter who doesn't defend, I thought that was the stupidest thing possible. I understand wanting to retain a player that's played up his value in your organization, small market team. You know, all of that points towards you want to keep your guys when you draft them. If they want to be a part of the situation, you pay them. But you don't do that when you have Ja Morant to pay the same amount, Triple J to pay the same amount. You let Desmond Bain walk, and you replace him with somebody who can do what he does at a lesser value, which is not the hardest thing in the world, since he literally only shoots threes. So for me, I've been out on Memphis since they did that. I just felt like, that just has no imagination whatsoever. And furthermore, it just speaks to the desperation that they feel they're in to retain the togetherness of the roster that they had with their starters. And that's a starting roster that hasn't found a way to win anything. So to have that much belief in them felt like more of a safe move as it pertains to protecting against losing and not being able to replace dudes. But at the end of the day, I'm not a believer in the Memphis Grizzlies direction, and I don't think firing the coach is the answer. So that's what I have to say. And furthermore, the fact that they felt they needed to do this, if it wasn't the presence of something happening behind the scenes, like somebody punching somebody, or somebody sleeping with somebody's wife, or somebody getting in a DUI or something like that, if nothing like that is happening in regards to Taylor Jenkins, them firing him right now just furthermore proves why their front office is probably not for. They're the problem, probably. If I'm being honest with you, they're the problem. Because you definitely don't fire your coach when you're in these circumstances at this time. You don't do that. Not if you actually want to see some success. BDL 44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.